Well, morning. It's Thursday morning. It's a beautiful day outside. I woke up this morning at 4 o'clock and it was raining quite a bit. It was pounding rain in my house, and I knew I couldn't go out. So I turned over and just kind of went back to sleep. Actually, I was up by 4:30. By 4:30, the rain had stopped, but I wasn't sure if it was going to start up again. And the worst thing is it was 47 degrees. So the worst thing you want to do is to go out, and have it start raining on you. So I went outside and I looked at it and I said, no, today's not a day. Besides 47 degrees and it's warm in the house. And so I did not go on my morning walk this morning. I feel kind of bad about that, but that's life. Although Mrs. Hook says there's no such thing as bad weather, it's just bad clothing. But I was not prepared at 4 o'clock in the morning to go outside. I did not have all my outside rainy weather clothing set up. So anyway, I don't know if you got rain, but man, it's just wow, just beautiful morning, beautiful morning. November showers bring December flowers, something like that. Very unusual, I think, to get rain. Maybe not unusual, but it'll be interesting to see if it's 47 here and it's the 3 degrees temperature every 1,000 feet. That means a 14 degree difference divided by 3,000 is 12, 4, let's say 5,000 feet, and I'm at 8. So very, very, very tippy top of Mount Lemmon, and perhaps Rincon Peak might have a little snow on it this morning. Wouldn't surprise me at all. And so we'll have to go out really, really quickly when the sun comes up and see if you can see a little bit of snow out there, because it's quite possible we'll see snow. It's certainly cold enough for it. And they did say it might be snow on Mount Lemmon earlier, that other rainstorm that we were supposed to get but didn't get. It's interesting. Wickenburg got hammered last night or the night before, which you don't see very often. Wickenburg is northwest of Phoenix, an old cowboy town. And Jennifer and I, when we first, I don't even know if we were married yet, but we were living in Phoenix. We went up to Wickenburg. There's a couple restaurants up there. I think they have a big steakhouse that I remember going to. I had a convertible back then. So I was always wanting to get Jennifer in the convertible and drive around Arizona. That was my happy spot. Maybe that's why I like going out in the wilderness. And maybe that's why we all like going out. Just kind of breathing in the fresh air, smelling the pine needles and all that sort of thing. Anyway, thank you for joining me this morning. This is our last podcast before Thanksgiving. So we will not be meeting all next week, and then we'll be back again on Monday, December 1st. And I pray you have a wonderful, blessed Thanksgiving. Lots and lots of good food. I love turkey, and but a turkey, I think that's why you have gravy, is so you don't have a dry turkey. Sometimes turkey can dry out, but if it's freshly right out of the oven and you slice it and you serve it right there, it's actually really, really very, very tasty. And then the other thing I love is a turkey pot pie. Take all the things that don't get eaten at Thanksgiving, the corn, well, not everything, and put it in a big pie. And, oh my goodness, it's so good. So good. All right. We actually have a couple birthdays today, 3, if I can remember them. The twins, Micah and Ainsley, both, I think, 18 today. It wouldn't surprise me. And Nancy Means, happy birthday to the 3 of you. When your kids graduate from high school and they go off to college, there's this shock, about this extra expense if you're helping with tuition, if they're going to college. Not all of them do. But can you imagine having twins or triplets or quadruplets and thinking about If they all decide to go off to college and you have to fill out, there's all this stuff that has to be done. There's a federal aid financial, it's called a FAFSA, that you have to do every year. Even if you're not claiming any aid, you have to do. I mean, it's just college. College is a big deal. It's a lot of work, not as much for the kids as it is for the parents. And but can you imagine filling that out although it's based upon, actually you might get a better deal if you have 5 or 6 kids all going at the same time, because it's based upon what the cost of college is, and I mean it's normalized a little bit. Anyway, all right, but still, it's a lot of work. I can't even imagine. Okay, so I'm going to close out the birthdays because I think we did those, and happy birthday, Nancy, too. All right, and we're going to get into our study. This should be a fun one. This is, they've got what they're calling the sanctuary. It's the tent of meeting, and Aaron and his family are in charge of that. We've already seen that before. When it gets moved, different families are in charge of the poles, and then the fabric that goes on the poles, and then the materials that go inside of it. There's 3 different families that move it from time to time. But now we're going to talk about Aaron and his family. So let's go over to chapter 18 and begin reading. The Lord said to Aaron, "You and your sons and your family are to bear the responsibility for offenses connected with the sanctuary. And you and your sons alone are to bear the responsibility for offenses connected with the priesthood. Bring your fellow Levites from your ancestral tribe to join you and assist you when you and your sons minister before the tent of the covenant law. They are to be responsible to you and are to perform all the duties of the tent, but they must not go near the furnishings of the sanctuary or the altar. Otherwise, both they and you will die. They are to join you and be responsible for the care of the tent of meeting, all of the work at the tent, and no one else may come near where you are." And we've seen this before, that the Lord said that the only people that are really supposed to touch or come near all this stuff is the tribe of Aaron, or the Levites. When we think about worship, we call our worship space a sanctuary. And all of the people come in and we worship when we praise God, and then we go home. That's kind of how we do worship today. But if you think about this, the only people that are even supposed to be near the sanctuary is the Levites. And the only one that can go and touch all the instruments and even go in the Holy Holies is the Aaronic priesthood, right? So when you offer an offering to God, you would bring your animal, you would hand it to the priest somewhere, not anywhere near the sanctuary, and they would go and offer it. They would slice it up. If it's a fellowship offering, and some of it comes back to you, but it's not like you're going in to offer the sacrifice. The only person that's allowed to do that are those appointed by God to do that. It's a whole lot different than what we do today. Today, we participate in worship. We participate in the sacrifice. We're able to come into the Holy of Holies and be in the presence of Jesus. But at this time and in this place, it was only certain people that were allowed to do that. So if you were offering a sacrifice, you either gave it and then left, or gave it and waited until a portion came back to you and then left. But there was a lot of stuff that was done by the priesthood that you did not get involved in. It's a totally different way of communicating with God. It had to go through the priest. Everything went through the priest. The offering of the sacrifices went through the priest, and if there was a message from God, it came back out of the priest. The priesthood was the conduit between the people and God. You did not go and worship God. You didn't sit and sing praise songs to God sitting around the tabernacle. It was you offered an offering and it was accepted and then you left, or you waited around and you picked it up again. That's the portion of it again. Totally different way of communicating with God. Totally different way of communicating with God. I am so grateful that we, because of Jesus, get to come into the presence of God. And when we call our worship space a sanctuary, it is really, really cool that we get to join with other Christians and be in a space to praise him. And you don't actually have to have a space. It can be any space can come in, because what makes the space holy isn't that it's been consecrated or dedicated or built in a certain way or so much money or whatever. What makes the space holy is that when Christians come together, where two or more are gathered in my name, then I am in the midst. That is awesome stuff. That is awesome. Whenever you gather with other Christians, Jesus is there. It could be a Bible study. It could be a hike with other Christians through the wilderness. It could be dinner. Anything. Whenever there's more than one Christian and you're gathered around Jesus, then there's a holiness associated with that that is really just absolutely remarkable. And it is totally different than what's happening here. All right. Let's continue on. Verse 5. You are to be responsible for the care of the sanctuary and the altar, so that my wrath will not fall on the Israelites again. I myself have selected your fellow Levites from among the Israelites as a gift to you, dedicated to the Lord to do the work at the tent of meeting. But only you and your sons may serve as priests in connection with everything at the altar and inside the curtain. I am giving you the service of the priesthood as a gift. Anyone else who comes near the sanctuary is to be put to death. So it's not even like, can I peek in the curtain and see what's going on? No, this is only reserved for the Levites and Aaron. They're the only ones that are allowed to peek behind the curtain, to actually go behind the curtain. And my understanding is that even when they would send somebody in, it's quite possible they could have a heart attack from being in the presence of God. So they would tie a cord around their feet. And if they didn't hear back from them, they would pull the cord and find out that the person died and, be able to get them out of the sanctuary. Although there would be other people that could go in. I guess they might have to wait for an appointed time. I don't know. Or maybe death, maybe you're not allowed to touch somebody who's dead in the sanctuary. So you have to pull them out by a cord. Anyway, all these things that we don't have to worry about because we can be in the presence of Jesus without dying. We can be in the presence of God without dying because Jesus redeemed us and made us acceptable to be in the presence of God. But the one thing it does is that it does provide a sense of holiness and fear of God that I think sometimes gets lost. Obviously, in a traditional liturgical worship service, you walk in, it's quiet, there's candles. Sometimes in Eastern Orthodox, they have incense burning. You walk into the sanctuary and you feel like you're in the Holy of Holies. There's an awesome presence associated with that is really cool. And I think if it's all about the lights and the music and the sound and this, the fog machines and all, I mean, that has its own purpose, but it doesn't give you this sense of awe and reverence when you walk into a space. Like if you've ever been to England and just looked, walked into a cathedral and you walk in and it's just the awe. There's a sense of gravitas that you go into a cathedral that now some people have an aversion to the historic church. And so they walk into a cathedral and they don't feel the presence of God because they have a sense of angst about the historic church. But we should not do that. The church has been around for 2,000 years and it has moved and ebbed and flowed, and how they worship and the songs they sing and what they do moves along with the church. But we should always be in awe and reverence when we come into an old cathedral, because this is where Christianity worshiped God in the presence of God for so many years. I would love to go to see the Hagia Sophia, which is in modern day Istanbul. Yeah, Istanbul. It was Constantinople at one point, but just to go in and experience a place where Christians worshiped God for 1,000 years, just from 500 AD to 1500 AD or whatever, the Hagia Sophia is. It's a big, now it's a mosque. It was conquered by the Muslims, the Ottoman Empire, and it's now, but the building is still there. And the building has historic significance for Christianity. And fortunately, Christians can actually, I think, go into it right now and experience the awe and the wonder of a place that housed Christianity and the church for 1,000 years. Pretty amazing. All right, let's go verse 8. Then the Lord said to Aaron, I myself have put you in charge of the offerings presented to me. All the holy offerings the Israelites give to me, I give to you and your sons in your portion, your perpetual share. You are to have the part of the most holy offerings that is kept from the fire. From all the gifts they bring me as the most holy offerings, whether grain or sin or guilt offering, that part belongs to you and your sons. Eat it as something most holy. Every male shall eat it. You must regard it as holy. This also is yours, whatever is set aside from the gifts of all the wave offerings of the Israelites. I give this to you and your sons and daughters as a perpetual share. Everyone in your household who is ceremonially clean may eat it. I give to you the finest olive oil and all the finest new wine and grain they give to the Lord as first fruits of the harvest. All the land's first fruits that they bring to the Lord will be yours. Everyone in your household who is ceremonially clean may eat it. Everything in Israel that is devoted to the Lord is yours. The first offspring of every womb, both human and animal, that is offered to the Lord is yours. But you must redeem every firstborn son and every firstborn male of unclean animals. When they are a month old, you must redeem them at the redemption price set at 5 shekels of silver, according to the sanctuary shekel, which weighs 12 gerahs. Under this system, the Old Testament system, people would bring their offerings to the Levites, and the Levites would offering, or sometimes they would eat it. This includes the firstborn of every animal and of every human. It's to come in, and there has to be a redemption. You have to pay 5 shekels. Even at the time of Jesus, these things were going on. Verse 17, but you must not redeem the firstborn of a cow, a sheep, or a goat. They are holy. Splash their blood against the altar and burn their fat as a food offering, an aroma pleasing to the Lord. Their meat is to be yours, just as the breast of the wave offering and the right thigh are yours. Whatever is set aside from the holy offerings of Israel, present to the Lord. I give it to you and your sons and your daughters as your perpetual share. It is an everlasting covenant of salt before the Lord, before you and your offspring. So also, if it's a sheep or a goat or a cow, it comes in, but it is holy, and so it gets treated a little bit differently. Verse 20, the Lord said to Aaron, you will have no inheritance in their land, nor will you have any share among them. I am your share and your inheritance among the Israelites. So this is, if you'll remember this from when they came out of the promised land, there's 12 tribes. And of the 12 tribes are the 12. The Levites don't have a tribe. They don't have a land portion share. But Joseph gets 2 shares because he was important. So you have his 2 sons. And then you have the other 11 or the other 10, minus Joseph, minus Levi. It's 10, and then you add 2 back for Joseph, it gives you 12. So when they enter into the promised land, there will be 12 tribes, but the person that won't have land is the Levites. And we find out that the Levites is kind of settled throughout all the different tribes because they are the ones that do the work of the Lord, but they don't get a land portion. But then the other tribes support them and give an offering to the Levites so that they can function and have food. Verse 21, I give to the Levites all the tithes in Israel as their inheritance in return for the work they do while serving at the tent of meeting. From now on, the Israelites must not go near the tent of meeting, or they will bear the consequences of their sin and will die. It is the Levites who are to do the work at the tent of meeting and bear the responsibility for any of the offenses they commit against it. This is a lasting ordinance for the generations to come. They will receive no inheritance among the Israelites. Instead, I give to the Levites as their inheritance the tithes that the Israelites present as an offering to the Lord. That is why I said concerning them, they will have no inheritance among the Israelites. So if you think about it, if there's 12 tribes, but one of them is not going to have an inheritance, then basically 11 tribes are doing the work and it's split among 12 tribes. So this is roughly a 10%, and tithe means 10%. If you remember, the idea of a 10-based system, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then we start over again and go 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 to 19. And we think that's as natural as the world, but it's not. Actually, there have been other cultures that go to 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then it starts over again. 1, 8, 2, 8, 3, 8, 4, 8, 5, 8, 6, 8, 7, 8, and then 2, 8, 3, 8. Or sometimes they go to 12 or 16. Computers go to 16. But 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, and then it starts over again. 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 11, 1, 12, then 3. 10 makes a lot of sense because you have 10 fingers. The Egyptians did 10. Most of the cultures around the world kind of went around 10. 10 is an easy one. So 1/10, if there's 10 grains of corn, then one of the grains of corn goes to the priest. And if everybody, I guess this is important, if everybody follows this, if every family gives a 10th, then the priests have the exact same amount as everybody else, right? Because it's a 10th, and your a 10th isn't doing the work, or roughly a 10th, 9%. It all works out. If Israelites give 1% or 2%, then the priests would starve. And 10% of your food is a significant amount of money, or a significant amount of food. It is significant, but it keeps the priesthood alive, which is the way that you communicate with God in the Old Testament. And Jesus talked a lot about your what has been given to you, and he probably talked about that more than anything else, because God, a 10th is not going to kill you, but it's significant enough to where you realize that your role on this earth is to serve God, basically. And in the Old Testament, it would be to do offering and sacrifice and to support the priestly class, which serves God. If you build it into your life, you don't even notice it. If you don't build it in your life, and you do, well, they would have built this into their life. It would have been an expectation of society. All right. Real quick, 25. The Lord said to Moses, speak to the Levites and say to them, when you receive from the Israelites the tithe I give you as your inheritance, you must present a 10th of that tithe as the Lord's offering. Your offering will be reckoned to you as a grain from the threshing floor or juice from the winepress. In this way, you will also present an offering to the Lord from all the tithes you receive from the Israelites. From the tithes you must give to the Lord portion to Aaron and the priest. You must present as the Lord's portion the best and the holiest part of everything given to you. So of the tithes they receive, they also give a tithe back to Aaron. Say to the Levites, when you present the best part, it will be reckoned to you as the product of the threshing floor or the winepress. You and your households may eat the rest of it anywhere, for it is your wages for your work at the tent of meeting. By presenting the best part of it, you will not be guilty in this matter. Then you will not defile the holy offering of the Israelites, and you will not die. So, this idea of supporting the priesthood goes all the way back to this time, and in our modern day world here in the United States, we support the work of the church through our gifts and offering. The Old Testament tithe went away; it's no longer necessary, but it was how it was done in the Old Testament. Many people still follow the tithing and give 10% of whatever to the work of God, but it is not commanded. What is commanded is that it be sacrificial, intentional, and proportional. At some level, and Jesus talked mostly about money. How do I break my heart? How does God break my heart so that I see Him in everything I do, and in every aspect of my life? And one of the ways to do that is to take that first fruits and say, this is what I'm going to offer back to God. All right. I think we'll leave it there. And when we get in next time, we'll be at chapter 19. And that will be on Monday, December 1st. We won't be back until then. Let's close in prayer. Gracious God, thanks for this day. Continue to fill us as we serve you. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, let me go over here and just see all those wonderful faces online. Still raining in Phoenix. Sprinkles only here. I don't know. I haven't looked outside. Oh, it's still raining. There's still deep cloud cover out there. So be careful. Be careful out there. And may God richly bless your day. May He bless your Thanksgiving. May you enjoy it with the family and all of the things. And we'll see again on Monday, December 1st. God's blessings. Bye.